What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to another edition of From the Desk of XCal, where today we are going to be talking about just a little Titanfall, because it has been 3 weeks on the dot since this game has officially released. I've gotten to play 3 weeks plus an extra day, because filthy internet hacks wars let me experience it a little bit earlier than the masses, and oh man, was it fun. Oh, Titanfall, so damn fun. So anyway, I have quite a few hours under my belt. I think somewhere in the ballpark of 50. I'm up to Generation 8. If you don't know what Generation is, it's what they call prestige in this game. If you are familiar with Call of Duty, you know, you hit max level, then you can prestige, and then you can do the whole leveling process again. That's what they call it in Titanfall. Generations, and I am Gen 8 for short. I've done it 8 times. And in order to progress through the generations, you need to do a certain set of challenges, which is an interesting twist on the prestiges. It sort of forces people out of their comfort zone, maybe use things and setups that they wouldn't normally use on their own, which is an interesting take. I'm for it until they make me use something I absolutely cannot stand using, like the Longbow DMR Sniper. As we all know how much I love sniping, so it's an interesting take, but some of those challenge. Oh my god, very frustrating, very frustrating. But anyway, moving on. What do I think about Titanfall? Honestly, I have got to say I am truly, genuinely, and I mean genuinely surprised at how much fun I am having with this game. Because going into it, I thought, oh, just another generic first-person shooters and robots. I guess every game needs a shtick that sort of separates it from the rest of the pack. And, you know, I wasn't really too enthused about it, and then I heard it was being developed by the same guys who made Modern Warfare, and I thought it was like, oh, even less reason to get hyped for it, because if you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I am not Call of Duty's biggest fan. So I really, looking back, I had no reason to look forward to this game, but then the beta came out, decided to give it a whirl. I mean, it was free. All I had to do was spend some time on it. You know, I have copious amounts of time to spend, so I figured, why not? And I am blown away by how fun this game is. Now, why am I finding it so fun? Well, first things first, when people say it's a fast-paced arcade shooter, it really is fast-paced. I think it's so fast-paced that I have seen some complaints in my stream. Now, I don't know if they were trolling, maybe they were being serious, but some guys were saying that I actually move too fast for them to keep up, for their eyes to keep up with, and they're not even the ones playing. And I can sort of see that. I can sort of get, I mean, when I play this, I am trying to move as fast as humanly possible. If I'm not wall running, I better be shooting someone, and if I'm not wall running or shooting someone, I'm probably doing something wrong. That is my mentality. I'm just trying to move as fast as humanly possible, get from point A to point B as quick as possible, slay as many people as possible, with super little downtime as humanly possible. I mean, that is my mindset when I am playing a game of Titanfall. And those statements are the result of that playstyle. So whether or not they're true, couldn't say. Maybe in the comments here we can verify. Do I move too fast? Sorry, I can't help it. It's just so beneficial. So it's super fast-paced. People, as far as I could tell, they don't really camp. I think in my 50 hours of playing this game, I have seen maybe like 3 people, you know, like really seriously super hardcore camping. And I've seen a couple of snipers here and there, but, you know, because this game is so fast-paced, it's not exactly easy to snipe, so the snipers, they don't really bug me too much. More often than not, they're honestly a free kill. So the camping, have seen very little of it, though I have heard on the Xbox version, people are a little bit more slower. I can't verify that because I don't play on console. So if I can go ahead, any console Titanfall players, go ahead and chime in on that. That would be good to know as well. But as far as like PC players go, all very fast-paced. People don't camp. Now, why that is, I would have to say is for 2 reasons. Number 1, there's no kill streaks, so there's really no reason to camp. So, you know, sort of play it as slow as possible. And, you know, kill streaks, one of the biggest reasons why people camp in Call of Duty, because, you know, if you get on a kill streak, super powerful kill streaks that get you even more kills. streaks leads to more kills leads to easier kills leads to more kill streaks, you know, and it's sort of like that, sort of like the snowball effect, really, and that's why people do it in Call of Duty. But there are no kill streaks in Titanfall. Plus, I think the bots play a large part in that too, because another reason people might camp in Call of Duty is because, you know, maybe they're not so good at PvP, so they need to keep things, you know, as slow paced as possible to sort of give them the best advantage. And I can definitely see that as well. But because this game has the bots, I mean, bots are really easy to kill. You know, people complain actually of the existence of bots, and I think, I mean, after playing the game, I have to say, I think the bots in the game is a good thing because, like I said, I think it leads to less camping. Depending on what mode you play, bots can actually be really helpful. They will actually capture flags if they don't get killed. So people will have to, you know, take care of that. If you're playing attrition, you know, bots are very important in this game mode because if you kill a bot, that's an attrition point. You know, more bots you kill, more attrition points, you know, that sort of thing. And this is something I feel most people are not recognizing, or they're not paying attention close enough yet, but bots will actually call out when they see an enemy pilot. Like, you know, they'll say, you know, enemy pilot on the second floor. Or they'll start shooting at them, and, you know, they can tip you off to the location of enemy pilots, which obviously are super high priority when they need to, in their, well, they need to be fucking killed, plain and simple. So bots can help you find that too. And since bots are so easy to kill, I guess people who, you know, are not as good at the PvP, you know, they'll sort of leave their comfort zone and start going after bot kills. And a lot of people don't really use suppressors, so, you know, it's not too hard to find people. It's not hard at all in this game to find action. And bots help with that. And, you know, it adds to the immersion of the game. You know, it's a very, very chaotic game. A lot of stuff going around. You know, it has nice sounding ambient music in the background too. It's overall just a thrilling experience. Now, one of the big issues this game does have is the matchmaking, and I actually figured out why. Because, you know, in Call of Duty, rarely anyone ever complains about the teams being unbalanced. You want to know why that is? It's because in a game of Call of Duty, the teams get shuffled. If it's not a party, the teams will get shuffled every round. You know, usually in my experience, you know, the two top scorers will then, if they're on the same team, I mean, unless you're lucky, well, lucky depending on which team you're on, those two players will be split on opposite teams, and that's usually how it goes for the majority of Call of Duty lobbies. You know, granted, you know, 6 completely or 12 completely random strangers, no parties or anything like that. You know, the teams get shuffled in Call of Duty, and I think that's very important, and this game does not do that. Now, I know they are beta testing skill-based matchmaking, and if I'm going to be honest, it's not something I look forward to, because I've played 2 games in the past that have attempted skill-based matchmaking, The Last of Us and Monday Night Combat, and that skill-based matchmaking is the reason I quit playing. You know, I'm not afraid of competition. You know, I'll play against fucking anybody. The stream, you know, has the streams that I've been doing, you know, pretty much prove that. Unless I'm by myself and I suspect the full party is 6, and, you know, anyone who plays against the full party 6 by themselves is an idiot. but you know, I'll play against anyone. Just about every game I play, I do pretty well. It's just that when skill-based matchmaking is thrown into the mix, I have a very bad experience with it, because it's like the competition I play against gets better, but the skill level of my team doesn't go up, so I just end up with just back-to-back frustrating losses that I really couldn't do anything about. And that's why I stopped playing those 2 games. You know, it's not because I got tired of Last of Us or the Monday Night Combat. It's because I couldn't deal with losing in that way. You know, I don't mind losing if it's a close competitive game. You know, those games are the funnest. You know, super close, highly competitive. I love those games. But when you lose because, you know, the quality of your teammates, it's just not funny, especially in an environment where it's supposed to be skill-based matchmaking. And to just lose, like, you know, 5-10 games in a row, it's not fun, and that's why I stopped playing. So I feel before they resort to, you know, the hardcore attempt at skill-based matchmaking, I feel they should add shuffling in the lobbies to prevent this, you know, sort of cock stomping from happening, because in Titan, like, when the games load up, like 6 people, they load up on a team just all together. They just pop, 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 all on the IMC side or whatever, and then it fills up on the other side. It's like when the other team leaves, or I can't talk anymore now. The game's not going in the background. But pretty much what I'm getting at is, like, once a good team, sort of gets put together, it stays that way until pretty much everyone backs out, and that's a problem. So I would definitely be for team shuffling. That's definitely what needs to happen. That is a step in the right direction. This game is also a little simple. Also a little simple in regard that, there's not much in the way of customization. The gun choices are all very simple. It sort of fits a generic archetype like the R101. It's your medium, long range, fully automatic weapon. That sucks at close range. It's good at everything else, sucks at close range. SMG, close range monster, shotgun, close range monster. It has the general archetypes you'd expect from a first-person shooter, but it's all very simple. And I feel that it could benefit from, maybe like 3 or 4 more guns, a couple more perks here and there. Flak jacket, please. That would be wonderful. There's a lot of explosions in the game. Flak jacket, it just makes sense. Quad rocket, satchel charges, 40 millimeter. There's a lot of explosions in this game, so I don't see why flak jacket is not in here. Maybe it'll be in the future. Who knows? We can only hope. But yeah, other than that, at Titan gameplay, I need to touch up on that as well. If you were to say that the Titan v Titan gameplay was a little clunky, a little slow paced, I wouldn't say you were wrong. You're definitely onto something there. The Titans compared to the pilots, it's very, very simple. All you can really do is move forwards and backwards, side to side, maybe diagonally if you're feeling a little hip. But I feel that actually it sort of benefits, because some games, I'm just out of it. I'm not feeling it. Everything is it's not going my way. But as soon as I get into a Titan, it's a little more slow. They are very powerful. It's 2 very different play styles. Your pilot v pilot gameplay, and your Titan, I shouldn't say Titan. Well, pilot gameplay differs greatly from Titan gameplay. Pilot gameplay very, very fast, especially if you're incorporating as much wall running and double jumping as humanly possible. Very, very fast paced. But Titan, it slows it down. It brings it back a notch. A lot more slow paced, and there have been some games where, like, on the ground, I just can't do anything. But as soon as I get in that Titan, everything turns around. I go on a nice big streak, really turn it around for myself, and I feel like it being slow paced actually sort of helps. It gives you 2 different play styles. Maybe you don't like the pilot gameplay, so you try to get your Titan and keep it as long as possible, or maybe vice versa. You don't like Titan so much, just let it drop it, let it go on auto follow or guard or whatever, and you can stick to pilot strictly. There's 2 very, very viable play styles, and feel Titans being slower paced, it's not such a bad thing. But some of these maps, though, when you get like 4 or 5 Titans up at the same time, the terrain you can walk on, it is very, very narrow. There will be plenty of times when you're trying to get away from that spot, and then there are 2 friendly Titans behind you, and there's not a damn thing you can do unless they're backing up with you. So that can lead to some problems there as well. But overall, Titanfall is a fan-fucking-tastic game to play. I have enjoyed the hell out of it. If you are an FPS junkie, I would recommend giving it a whirl. But if you're not so big on FPSs, it's not a game that I would recommend is a must-play for you. But if you do enjoy the hell out of FPSs, give it a go. Especially if you like fast-paced stuff. You'll probably like it. So, that is what I think on Titanfall. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, peace!